was like we just recorded the last one, and now we're recording another one. We're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. I don't know.
We're not going to change.
No, we're not going to change. I don't want her to change. I love the way she is.
We took notes.
I don't want her to change.
So let's talk about,
What are we talking about? Pilgrimages.
pilgrimages.
We were talking about
And
pilgrimages.
the one that we just did, and out of the 95 miles, we did 75. And
Yeah.
that was we could have gone the full 95,
Yeah.
but because of weather,
Yeah.
we kind of cut it short, and we're glad we did, because we would have been stuck
We would have been stuck in the mud.
a snowstorm because it snowed.
So one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit and the virtues that are supposed to be tenured in the Catholic faith is prudence. We saw where we were in the given situation. We worked really, really hard, and we knew what we wanted. Then we had to surrender to what God wanted. And then it was common sense that, there was a component where our family became involved. My daughter came and helped us to finish the journey.
God sent a guardian angel.
God sent this guardian angel along the way to we were in a hopeless situation where we've been walking for like 4 miles through like a big sandstorm with zero visibility and cars that couldn't see, and
Literally trying to hold on to each other.
Yeah.
Because we were being blown
yeah,
all over. We almost were blown into the road a couple times, so we had to actually move away.
yeah,
And then we had to start walking in this like quicksand type of dirt. And
yeah. It was just not fun.
it was horrible. And we realized we weren't going to find a good place to put our tent up. Our tent wouldn't have stayed up because the wind continued.
Yeah, it doubles as a kite. I found out that I thought if we just tie a line on it, then we can fly the tent behind us, and we don't have to set it up.
Yeah.
We just pull it back down.
So at one point we just kind of found a tree and we sat underneath it, feeling a little bit defeated, but
Yeah.
a nice gentleman pulled up. His name was Mike, and we call him Saint Mike.
Yeah.
And he offered to take us out of the storm.
Yeah. He said, I can get you to a place where it's not windy.
And he did. He took us about 10 miles
And had some
down
good
the road
conversation with
into
him.
Santa Fe.
Completely safe individual too.
Yeah.
He was like not gonna.
He was a Navy veteran.
You worry about like hitchhiking and everything else. Like that's the thing they used to do in the 70s, right? And it's a pretty dangerous thing to do right now.
But
But
before he came, I prayed. I was praying to God, Lord, if it's your way and this is how you want it, send us a guardian angel to take us out of this. And the tree that we decided to sit at was actually in front of a prison.
in place of incarceration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were like
hunkered down next to a prison.
Yeah. Because we couldn't really go any further.
And there were signs everywhere that says, don't pick up hitchhikers.
Don't pick up hitchhikers.
Because they might be prisoners.
God sent us that guardian angel, and he got us out of the storm.
Yeah. It just took us a little bit down the road. And from there we were able to like kind of renew our spirits because we went and got food. It was after Lent at that point. And we got a Subway sandwich.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. It was good to eat.
We were full of dirt.
We were full of dirt. We walked in there just like...
We had the dog.
And
we're like, can we come in and eat?
Yeah.
And the gentleman said, yeah,
he was almost going to not do it. He didn't want to do it. And then we kind of peer pressured him into doing it.
Yeah. So
I got the sense of it. But he was a nice fellow.
Yeah. And we found a nice place, a secure place again. The Lord put us in another place to camp that night. And we got a pretty good night's sleep that night, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always sleep with one eye open, especially when you're out there in the But yeah, I mean, it was okay. I mean, well, there wasn't so windy. That's nice.
Wasn't so windy.
Yeah, we were worried it was going to be windy.
A few nights prior, I think
Yeah.
it was a hard day, and was it that day where we got the tent finally set up and you asked
Yeah.
the Lord the question?
I know. I think I asked this
God?
question, and it was like the wrong question to ask God. I felt like God could just like pick us up and put us down somewhere else at any moment, you know. So I said, God, are you there? And I think that was the wrong question to ask, because God said, of course I'm here. And the wind started picking up and
Almost
it blew
took
the
our
tent over.
tent.
And we were sure that it was going to be miserable for the rest of the time.
But it was only that one.
It was only that
moment.
one gust of wind. And
God
I
was
think
showing us,
we
hey,
know
I'm here.
God was definitely showing us, I'm here.
Yeah.
What? How dare you? You know what I mean? And I right away I was like, oh God, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that way. And that's sort of one of the things, you know, to get to that is that you want to be in like a firm walk with God, not just say you're in a firm walk with God. And to be able to do that, you have to admit that you're not. You know what I mean? You have to really like question where you are with God and everything else and talk to Him. And instead of just going through the motions and faking it till you make it, you're actually wrestling with God or whatever, you know what I mean? And that was sort of a little bit of what was going on there on our journey. We're walking and it's hard and you're not just, you know, I keep coming back to this, but like when I started, both of us left the threshold of our home and started down the street. I only got a block away before I was like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to happen. I started to have doubts right away. I was like, because I
packs
know
were
they were super
so
heavy right away. Like I said, we were like 65 pounds, you know, and they're supposed to be like 9 pounds. And we just packed all this food and all these drinks and stuff and clothes, and we just really overpacked, and it was heavy, and my feet hurt, my legs hurt, and my mind hurt, and my heart hurt. Mm-hmm. And you know, we were passing through a place where we saw a terrible accident, right?
Yeah.
You know, we saw a deceased individual the day before who wrecked on a motorcycle. We just saw his lifeless body there in the road.
So we passed the memorial
So
the
we
day
passed
of
the memorial the day of our
pilgrimage.
maiden voyage or whatever.
Yeah, and from that moment on, we stopped and we prayed, and every single cross on the side of the road, you know, we made sure we made
that
we prayed for those poor souls that
tried to see who the memorial was for, and think about
in
their
Mexico,
lives.
you'll see a lot of those. I don't know if that's everywhere.
It's a lot of places, but I think New Mexico is where it probably really shines the most. I don't know.
Yeah.
Personally, I think there's more roadside. There's something to be said about that. It's dangerous out there, man.
It is.
It really is, you know.
And in the beginning as well, I lost his jacket.
It was my favorite jacket. I'm just kidding.
Was it very favorite, but one of your favorites?
No, it's okay. I don't care.
Somehow, some way, we took the pack off to take a little break and it was in the beginning of the journey, and didn't realize the jacket stayed wherever it was. Mm-hmm. So when I finally realized, I was like, oh, now I'm going to have to go through this whole pilgrimage without a jacket. Yeah. So that was kind of scary at first, but, you know, I said to him, well, maybe it's where somebody else could have used that jacket for sure, you know. Yeah.
Maybe it's still right where we left it.
It could still be there. We should go look.
That old jacket.
I doubt it's there.
It's probably not.
But it probably went to somebody who really needed it.
Well, we hope so. But, you know, that being said, there were like things that we overpacked and things that we underpacked, you know.
Yeah. We had one big sleeping bag, but we no pillows or anything. So we slept on the bottom of the tent floor and had to cover with the sleeping bag. And there were some very cold nights. Mm-hmm. What else?
There were some pretty cold nights. The first, was it like the, what was the
Wasn't
windy
the
night? The
first
second night was like the one
second
that was
night.
windy. That
Yeah. We were just
Gosh.
like, how are we gonna get through this? Is this gonna? Every day it was like we were renewed by God. We got up, we packed. There was a couple mornings where it was downright cold, and you know, I kept telling him because, like, I just felt he just was like, I'm done. I don't like being cold, and I was just like, if we just get up and move. It's gonna be okay. We're
I
gonna
was
get
just
through
testing
this.
her. I was only testing her.
So, I mean, we had to motivate each other a lot. And then on the hills, I mean, there's so many hills. The hills were brutal. And every step, you know, we would start to argue with each other, and that's the devil trying to discourage us,
Yeah.
you know. And
It was just
eventually we were like, no more fighting. We're going to just start praying.
Yeah.
As soon as we feel like we're going to start arguing about something, let's just pray. And we started to. And it just made things better, right? God got us through those hard times. At one point, we literally, it was the biggest hill that we had to conquer. It was hot. And I was afraid to tell him that I had taken my last sip before the hill. And we still had miles to go, like maybe 10 miles. He had about 16 ounces left
Yeah, more
of
like
water.
5 ounces or something. There wasn't a lot of water.
There wasn't a lot of water left. And we
It's
were
important just so, not to be prideful, but I don't want you to think she was going without water. I
No.
gave her the rest of my water.
we sipped on it together.
Oh, okay.
We sipped on it together.
I pretended like I was sipping on it.
Whatever. But that hill, it was a very tough hill.
It
And
was
it
tough.
was our biggest argument of the journey. And we finally got to the top. You know, once it's one of those hills where you're like, okay, I could see the end of it. And as you get closer, you realize that's not the end, it's still going up. And it was going up and up and up, and it was just so hard and so hot. And then we reached the top, and as we started going down and we were praying, we just kind of stayed silent because we had a huge argument. But by the time we hit Madrid, because that was right before Madrid, we were just like, we just kept praying. We were saying the Hail Marys, and we were saying the Jesus prayer, and Our Fathers, and Glory Bees, and Oh My Jesus. and God showed up again, and He got us through.
He did. It was really hard. That's all I could say. I keep coming back around that, but you don't get an idea of how hard it is until you're doing something.
Yeah.
God didn't remove the difficulty, but He made it possible. I don't know how to describe that, except for it's like every once in a while the wind would push behind us, and that was really nice, and we were really thankful. And
And it would kind of push us up the hill, huh?
Push us up the hill a little bit. But God didn't take the pain away from the situation because He wanted it to be there, because He wants us to remember. But He made it possible, whereas it would have been painful and impossible. It was still painful, and it happened. We made it. I don't think that we could have done it if He wasn't and in that way it makes me really, really sad, because I feel like He came into us and experienced that pain too, just the way that He does in our salvation. He comes and endures all the pain. And that's what made it possible, is that you're walking with Him, and He feels the pain of your feet,
Your legs,
your
your shoulders,
your
your back.
your what do you call it, spirit, your he was there too. So that's all I can say is he felt all of it at the same time that He was walking with us, So it's like He came inside of our bodies, walked every step with us, Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to do it. I'd been like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down here, or start walking back home, or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, there was a couple of moments where I just wanted to just sit
yeah.
where I was and just say, that's it, I'm not going any further. And
That being said, like God gave me this beautiful partner to walk with. You know, she's just so wonderful. And the hardest thing that we had to deal with was the disagreement that we had. I think personally, that was the hardest thing for me, is that we just had this moment where it wasn't even like, it's always a hair that breaks the camel's back or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, we couldn't even understand why we would be so upset about the things, you know, that were so upset, except the situation just
come
was
over a little bit.
so
You're
difficult.
kind of far.
Sorry. Can't get over there. So, I mean, the most powerful thing about this is that we had that together, you know. It's such a beautiful journey that we could see what was happening together, had different insights and everything, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without Stephanie. I can't. God
I
gave
wouldn't
me
have
somebody
been
to.
able to do it without you. But we both wouldn't have been able to do it without God.
And it wouldn't have been as good. Like you bounce off of each other. You have this, particularly, you know, it's good to go do it with a friend, but this is my wife. That we're doing that together, and we're on this journey together, and our life is gonna, you know, marriages are hard, right?
Mhm.
We both know that.
Yeah.
Marriages are hard, partnerships are hard,
Yeah.
even friendships are hard, but a marriage is like a DEFCON level friendship, right? You know what I mean? It's like serious as a heart attack, you know, like, and I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to do it without her, and it was so good to experience all the pain and the frustration and all the other stuff that you would expect it would be, which was super beautiful. We saw super beautiful things together, sunrises, sunsets, the breeze that we talked about, amazing views,
Oh, the views.
vistas, you know,
Yeah.
plateaus, and accomplishment, you know, like when we finally got into Madrid, what I kept thinking about is like, Madrid is this little desert town, you know, in the East Mountains, east of Albuquerque. And when you get there and you're walking, when you get there and you're driving, you're there, you'll be at the place to get water or whatever in the next minute or so. You're like, oh, we've arrived. But when you arrive and you're walking, it still takes another hour before you, right? We
Not
were
an
still
hour,
walking.
that's exaggerating.
No, it's not too much of an exaggeration, because we were walking up and down more hills, and up,
Yeah.
down, and down, up and
I
down.
guess the outskirts of Madrid, huh?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're not really in Madrid until
Here and there.
Yeah,
When you
there's-
finally see that one place where you know you're going to get water, you're just like,
by the time you're going to
"Oh
get
my
water,
goodness."
you're already most of the way out of town. You know what I mean? So we had to keep on walking, and cars are passing by, and yeah, it's a difficult thing. You have to really focus on God. Otherwise, you can't do it. All of a sudden, your focus has to turn to God. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And He's the only one that can get you through that. So
should we do a part 3?
we got to wrap this one up.
Okay, we're going to wrap this one up and come
We're going
back
to
for
talk
part
about
3.
stuff in part 3.
All
It's
right.
the epic saga,
Have the
that is-
pilgrimage.
our pilgrimage.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Leave comments.
Yeah.
Like, ask questions that we can address and stuff like that. We really want to dialogue with our people who watch these videos, and invite people to subscribe and to follow our videos. We get to know people. That's what we want.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be back.
Whatever.
Peace. I love you. We love y'all. We'll be back.
We'll be back.